You're now listening to the Thousand Story Podcast, presented by Thousand Story. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Naji.
And I'm Luis.
And today we're going to be talking about building the team, the dream team.
The dream team.
As well as talking about some collectives, or collectives that have come out or collectives that you didn't even know existed.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of collectives, honestly, that I don't know existed.
We'll get into
Good,
it.
because I'm very unknowledgeable when it comes to this. But so building the dream team. I think for like any artist, entrepreneur, it's a really important thing, place to get to, I should say. Really important spot, because like this is a time where like you are no longer doing your stuff solo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's incredible because you're sharing your vision with other people, and these people are essentially like helping you come up, Yeah.
We wanted to talk about building the team because, at least I wanted to bring it up because I know that it's been incredibly integral to, the next step of success, kind of like success. Wow, I cannot say that word today. Success comes in stages.
Success.
Well, that comes in stages. And, you're not going to have the same type of success that you would individually.
Do you want me to just say it for you?
You should, please. That you would, as a team.
As your teammate.
Help me out, teammate. I can't successfully say that without my teammate. But yeah, so, for me, when I started out, just at the beginning of the deciding that I wanted to make this kind of thing a career, I was like, I don't really know how I'm going to do this, where I'm going to do this, but I'm just going to start doing this. So the first thing I really did consciously was, make an EP. This is when I was going back as I'm not going to say the name because I don't actually want people to find it. But when I was
you're saying pre-Naji.
Pre-Naji.
This is pre-Naji.
Yeah, this is pre-Naji.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to be able to make a body of work or something.
Yes.
And just say that I did. And then I can get to the next step. And then I can get to the next step.
Yeah. Okay.
So, that was my, my role solo. And then during the process of making that EP, one of our good friends, Elias, I tapped on his shoulder and decided to, I asked him if he could, do a feature on the EP. And, from there, we kind of, the mentality switched quite a bit because, my original goal or my original vision as an artist was just to be on the production side or the drumming side. I was not doing any vocals. Like I was adamantly avoiding it.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Because you do that.
Right. That's the main thing now.
That's mainly what you do now.
And, the whole switch, I would say Eli is responsible for, or he has a lot to do with it. But the main switch had actually nothing to do with him at all, but it had to do with the dream. But I'll get to that later. But when I decided to bring him into the fold, from that point, the priorities kind of switched. So we decided to kind of build, to take advantage of his skills and his strengths and my strengths.
I remember when that was happening. That was the Art Trap.
Yeah.
That was the Art Trap movie.
That was before that even.
Oh, for real?
Yeah,
okay.
This is like,
I got in.
Yeah, this is like 2014. This is, because Art Trap didn't happen until, 2016? I think
I think I met you then. Yeah.
I think that's about it. So for the people listening now, the Art Trap was my old studio space that me and Elias actually shared for about a year before I got flooded out. But
I remember that also.
Yeah,
I remember getting that call.
That was terrible. But prior to that, him and I were just working out of my mom's basement. And he would come like once or twice a week, most likely once a week. And we just work up like 2 hours at a time on a song or like a bit of a song or just work on a new idea. And we decided from that point to kind of just be a new sound, a new definitive niche in Erie. And we were like, nobody else is doing this. Nobody else is going to do this. So we should be the pioneers in this. And as a result of that, it caused me to start looking into collabs. It caused me to start looking into different people to involve myself with as far as like mixing or as far as trying to see if I could get a deal or something like that, or like what those kinds of things were. It just brought me into an entirely new world. I was like, oh God, I was just trying to like make beats, but this is like setting up an empire. This is like setting up
thing.
I was like, okay,
it can be reality.
Right. Yeah. And that reality didn't become apparent until I brought somebody else into the fold.
Right.
So for me, the team started, so to speak, with Eli.
Yeah.
And the thing is that teams are ever changing. They're always constantly moving, and they should be, because you're not going to have the same people with you as much as you want to, and as much as it would be nice to have the same people with you the entire ride. You're not going to have the same people with you the entire ride. People will change. People will shift. People have different visions and intentions. So initially, Eli was the only person on my team, and we were kind of just building together. But over time, I just started, I started interacting with other people over the internet and becoming more involved with, so Martin and Javante are two of our good friends, who I formed a collective with them, and we started just kind of bunching together and supporting each other in that way. So whenever one of us would post a song, the other people would like share it on socials and whatnot. And kind of building the team in that sense, and in that we were each other's support system. But on the business side, none of us knew what we were doing. We still, up until like 2015, well, the end of 2015.
Yeah.
I had no idea like what music business was, or like what anything. Like I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just gonna put stuff out and see what happens. And it wasn't until I ran into the collective FET. So when FET was just starting, we basically kind of started at the same time, and they asked me to join the fold there. From that point on, because it was posting my content on their page, I was a little confused as to how it would work out on the business side. So I was like,
that was always intriguing to me, because I always saw FET as like a online label almost.
Right.
In a way, yeah. Because as an outsider, you know what I mean? When I first like went onto their pages and just kind of was trying to like peruse, their artists and stuff like that, I wasn't sure if they had like a list of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it was like, those are their artists. I never knew.
I mean, that was kind of their intention. They never really wanted it to be one thing initially. I don't. Yeah. They've disbanded it now, but initially when we started, it was just the idea was to just build this collective of artists who supported each other, and it built up this label or this idea or this movement, if you will, that was FET.
Yeah.
And because of that, because things got trickier and trickier, trying to figure out how to collab with people, and what splits were, and how, if we ever gained any money from anything, because I didn't start gaining income. I didn't gain a penny of income from music until, I want to say, like December of 2016, either December or January 2017. Like I did not gain a dime from, or at least from like posting music, like doing like live gigs, or like doing
that's different. Yeah, that's like, on a one-off basis though.
Yeah, like
you play the gig, you get paid. That's it.
Yeah, but like royalty income that did not happen until the beginning of January 2017 was like the definitive first month that I received it. I was like, this is a thing, you can do that. Like, what? But obviously prior to that, probably like during the span of 2016 is when I really started inundating myself with just music business knowledge and just figuring out what was going on, why, how are people being successful, what, where is all this, what do I do, when and trying to figure out every aspect, and then through that, understanding that a lot of people didn't do it alone. So I up until like September or August of 2016, still solo technically.
Right. Yeah.
I was still doing everything by myself, kind of operating everything by myself, and managing all the aspects of my career by myself. And I still had collective mates and friends and team members, so to speak, in the sense that there were other artists, but nobody actually helping me further my career in like directly,
right,
or like
for just you.
Yeah, just for myself. And then it wasn't until August 2016 was when my manager now. Well, it's funny enough, he actually doesn't like to be called my manager, and personally, I think of him more as just a partner rather than a manager. But I didn't meet him. He hit me up by email in August of 2016. And at that time, I was being, hit up by FET, and they were interested in managing me, but it just didn't work out ultimately. But there were like two other people that were just trying to help me out on that end, on the managerial tip, and trying to really, kind of come up with a plan or a business plan or goal. And in that time span, it really made me figure out what I wanted for myself, because I was like, if I can. I kind of set myself a standard, and I said, I want these things to happen. I want to accomplish these things. And if I can do it, then if anybody else wants to do it for me, they need to be able to do it as well as
the
I
way
can.
that you're doing it.
The way I'm doing it, or better.
Or better than that. Yeah.
And, I wasn't coming across that for a while until, Monty hit me up, and we just started talking. And it was just like, wow, okay, I get it. This guy's, he knows what he's talking about, And it was really, for me, building the team didn't come until I kind of built myself and then understood what I needed in the team.
Right. So you feel like you had like a little bit better of a grasp of, I don't want to say your brand, but like of you as a person, knowing your strengths, your own weaknesses, and then kind of like thinking like, oh, okay, I need someone who is
here,
like who is right here. And I'm like, oh, I'm weak in this spot. But they're,
that's they're stronger.
Strength.
Yeah,
that's their stronger
suit. They can help me improve in that
exactly.
area.
Yeah. I think one of the really important things about like building a team is the character of the people that you surround yourself with. I mean, that to me is the biggest thing, because like skill is something that you can learn. Right. I mean, you can learn how to do something. You know what I mean? Like you can learn how to do business. You can learn how to, whatever. But if the person's character isn't there, and it's just not going to work. It just can't work. No matter how good they are at whatever it is, it doesn't even matter, because it's like if you don't vibe, or like if you don't have the same sort of mentality when it comes to certain things, you're going to be you're going to be pulling on two different ends,
Absolutely.
And having met you and then having met Monty as well, like I love like the friendship that has been built and cultivated. You know what I mean? Like it's definitely like you can feel that it's more than just like, oh, this is not just business. This is more of like, this is our life. This is the lifestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think for sure, like when you're building a team, like working around that idea of like, this is who I know who I am, and I know the people that I need to surround myself with that are good people that want the best for me. You know what I mean? That really want to see this vision like built out. You know what I mean? And yeah. So I just, that, I don't know, that just sticks out to me. It's just like, especially like having met him for the first time, like with you, you know what I mean? And like seeing that whole energy.
And it's funny that you mentioned that energy, because when he first hit me up, like I didn't know at the time, but they were just going, or him, and so he's also a part of Selection, and he was kind of having some issues with people, or meeting people for the first time. So typically they do kind of like introductions over email or just like text or something like that. So there wasn't that face-to-face interaction. So they were having he was having some bad experiences where like they would be cool online, but then in person it was a whole different experience.
Yeah.
So coming off the tail end of that, he hit me up, and then he was like, let's link up. And he was getting into the habit of doing that more. And initially we actually almost didn't even get to meet, because I didn't even have enough at the time to get the plane ticket or the train ticket. And luckily, my friend J Rob, he was like, we were going up at the same time. He's like, yo, I got you. So he actually ended up, helping me meet Monty, which is, I'm still grateful for him. But when we did meet, it wasn't like, I'm going to be your manager right away.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I got this. I
Yeah.
can see a million things for you. It was just this slow, organic, just connection, you know, and that's exactly what I was looking for
Yes.
in who was going to be, you know, on my side or on my team. I was
Exactly.
like, I need people who aren't going to be pushing their own agenda just for the sake of pushing the agenda.
Yes,
even
that's
if-
the thing too, is like people that push their own agendas, like that are wanting to join your team just so that they can get something out of it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just so that they can like pull their own bit or whatever, you know?
Yeah, you see a lot of that. You see a lot of that with managers, especially. You know, and I ran into it. Like I said, during that time, it was like right before I met him, there were like 3 or 4 people that hit me up interested in managing me. And it was just like, I was on the phone with them and I was just like, yeah, okay, yeah. Because I'm like, I already know where this is going and I'm just I'm not feeling it. Like they have all the connections, they have the network, right? But it's just the vibe was not there because they were so enveloped in their own idea of where I should be or
and
where I should be.
That's the thing too, is like they're like you're saying, like enveloped in their own idea of where you should be.
Right.
Instead of like saying, like asking the artist, like
what?
Hey, who like what do you want to do? Like as your artist, like what is your vision? And then let's work on that, because that's where you're going to fit the best. That's your own pocket. You know what I mean? Like as an artist, like if you know where you are and where you're meant to be, your niche or whatever, you know, you know where you're going to go.
Right.
So having somebody tell you what to do is just kind of,
it's a turnoff.
Yeah.
It's a complete turnoff.
It doesn't make sense.
And it makes no sense whatsoever, because you're just going to end up shooting yourself in the foot when you have to fire them. But, you know, it's really important. You know, I probably wouldn't have been able to make that distinction or make that decision to kind of partner with him unless I'd gone through those experiences. Because, you know, he's not the traditional manager. You know, it's new for him as well. It's something, being able to help me out in this way is a completely new path for him as well. But, and if I were just looking at it objectively, obviously you want to go with people with more experience in the field, et cetera, et cetera. But that's not what my priority was, because I had people, you know, before that, there was another, who were
seasoned veterans or
right. You know, I've been here for blah, 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 blah. And it did not click. It did not make sense. But fortunately, I was able to experience those people, you know, as they were, and then take them for that and understand that that wasn't what I actually wanted. And then find out, you know, what I wanted in my team. And it was really cool that Mani was, you know, so willing to just be, you know, just take time. You know, because it's really important, you know, taking the time. Because if you try and rush it, it's just not you're gonna end up shooting yourself in the foot.
For sure.
You just let things happen. You know, keep doing things yourself, be your own team, and eventually you'll find what you need. It's kind of like when you buy, it's like if you buy the most expensive piece of equipment, like right out the gate, like instantly buy the 5K guitar, and you have no idea what you're doing on guitar. It's like, why did I do this?
I will say, man, I've done that in my life,
right?
And then I've just been like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Right? Like, why did I spend that much money? Like,
and it's problematic because a lot of us do that initially, and you know, we don't even,
because you think you need the best stuff in order to, you know,
you need a network, you need the big people who are in the now, you need the people who have all the connections, and it's like those are those are important aspects, but those are not the only things. That's not what you need to be focusing on, the character of this person next to you, and you're only going to be able to appreciate that character if you come from you know, what doesn't work, or from the bottom up, you know. So if you come from the shitty
nothing
Walmart guitar, and you know, you finally get to understand, okay,
you'll appreciate
you're like, okay, I get why this is shitty. Now I can move up to the next step. You know, it's really crucial to have that growth first,
that slow build.
Slow build.
No, it's that going back to the conversation on like energy, it's kind of interesting because I remember like what I was going through at the time that you and I had met. And it was like in April. I think it was 2015 or 2016.
Yes, April 2016.
I think it was 2016. Yeah. It was April 2016. And I had gone into a bar with my girlfriend, and we were watching, I think it was like Tony and Ian or something, like two of our friends. And I had only heard like your name like locally, like through one of my bandmates at the time, Dom, and I don't know. He just had great things to say because you guys were doing
The Dean stuff.
The Dean stuff. Yeah, which was dope. Was just super dope. when that stuff came
when
out.
that existed.
When that existed, that was super dope. And I remember like walking in, and I don't know what it was, but like immediate, like for some reason, like I'd never seen your face whatsoever.
Right.
I'd only ever heard your name, and I was like, I think that's that dude. Like you were sitting by yourself, like completely alone. And I was just like, that's definitely that dude. And so I remember walking up to you and being like, yo, you're Naji, right? And you were like, yeah. I was like, oh, I'm Luis. And we're like, oh shit, oh, that's who we are. You know, like,
right.
Like, oh, like we know each other. And then I think like a few minutes into the conversation, you were like, yo, I think I'm gonna dip or something.
Yeah.
Like, you want to go to the studio? And we went to the studio. We went to your studio like later that night. And we were there from like the first time that we ever met.
Ever. Which is wild.
We got to your studio at like 11 or midnight or something like that. And we stayed in your studio like working on this track, ? Until like 6 a.m. It was I was not expecting to spend that much time, but I just remember like the vibe was just like very real. And I think like shortly after that, I really like I had been wanting to like switch into, and this is why this is interesting to me about energy, because I had been wanting to switch over because I was with a live band and working on like our live act, right? And I was immediately like, oh, I really want to make a switch to like learning how to record music and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And then all of a sudden, randomly, I happened to meet you. And then a few months later, like we like met again, and like you like gave me Ableton. And I was just like, oh, now I'm like learning how to do this stuff, you know? And it's interesting how like that whole situation happened, because like I feel like our energy is just kind of like, I don't know. We just vibe.
Yeah.
We just vibe.
It's a vibe.
Yeah. And then like all of a sudden the next April in 2017, you're moving in. We're like moving in together.
Yeah. We didn't even talk after that point. We
hung out like one time, like in December, I think, like once or twice throughout the year.
Yeah.
And that was about it. And then all of a sudden, like we're moving in together in like April.
It's like, okay, what's happening?
Yeah, no, but it was crazy. But it was interesting because like that for real, like the energy, the vibe was like definitely. It was like, oh, okay, like this is something, like this is someone who cares about, you know, the well-being of like myself,
right,
and what I'm doing artistically, and just like wants to see me grow, you know, and I think that was, for me, that was the biggest thing, because like I a lot of experiences that I had with other artists, like not surrounding me, but like just in general, like other artists, like in the scene and stuff, was that like nobody is really out to help.
Right, they're in there to just get theirs. Dip.
Exactly. Yeah. Everyone's really out to get like, you know what I mean? And it's like, I don't want to say like it's like dumb, like Instagram follows or like SoundCloud follows or something like that. But like people are like, oh yeah, follow me. And you're like, cool, yeah, I'm gonna support you. Like, let's support each other, blah, all this stuff. And then you do that, and then they don't.
Right.
And then they don't at all care about anything that you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously that's on some petty stuff. Like I'm not about that, but like just like that's sort of like simple interaction. You know what I mean?
And that's happened quite a few times. You're gonna run into that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, people that are like, oh yeah, let's connect, and then you do.
Let's build, fam.
Yeah, let's build.
Like, okay,
that whole
first
thing.
of all, nobody in my family calls me fam. Second of all, none of my friends actually call me fam. So the only people I've interacted with that called me fam, like seriously, were people that I would never consider fam. Like
people you don't even know.
Just an observation.
Yeah.
I just noticed that. I'm like, wow, they are really out here trying to sneak in my heart like that. Like, yeah, no, it's problematic, because I know for a fact that there was like, I think it might just be like a local mentality thing. I ran into that a lot, especially growing. I say growing up here, but you know, like going to high school and kind of going through like college years here.
Your more formidable years,
right?
Yeah.
So going through that, you know, I noticed a lot of people kind of have this local mentality or this small town mentality.
Yeah.
And with that small town mentality,
I feel that.
it kind of embodies short-term relationships, or just fickle, just
Yeah.
surfacey type things. And I don't know why that is. I mean, obviously that's everywhere.
Yeah.
But like for some reason, when dealing with the local scene or the local community, there's a lot of just surfacey and or surface interaction
Yes.
and just ingenuine nature.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
No, I feel you because like I've run into this situation because like I was mainly only doing like local stuff for the longest time. Like I honestly like no offense when I say this at all, but I had never heard of you at all, like locally, and like no one knew you. No one knows you. No one even knows you now. I'm just gonna say like locally.
That's the beautiful part. Yeah. Like that's how wild it is and how stupid it is. It's that
this is ridiculous.
Like I'm doing this full time and just being successful in my own sense, but like nobody here knows because the mindset is so little that they can't comprehend that somebody could actually build a following elsewhere. Like outside outside of this city. And it's why I stopped doing shows here specifically. Especially when when I started doing shows in general, I was like I did one or two here to kind of like get a sense of just stage presence and get back into it. But like after those, I was like, wow, this place.
It gets tough too because like for some reason, like especially in like local scenes, for the most part, I don't want to talk about every, like for the most part though, like everything is pretty self-contained. Like if you build a following locally, like for some reason, like I don't know if it's like they're too close to you, the fans, followers, your friends or whatever, they're just too close to you. But the moment that you start like even remotely succeeding in your own, it doesn't have to be like you're like making money. It doesn't have to be like anything like that. But like you're just successfully like releasing songs and they sound great. You know what I mean? They sound like sonically just like really way better than anything that either they've ever done or they've heard come out of the local scene, And then they start like hating on you.
They get salty.
They say they get so salty. They get so salty. And it's crazy. It's just weird. Yeah. And I don't get it because it's just like, for me, like if there's somebody that I've done, like worked on music with, or like I've known them musically, and I just like genuinely, like really like love the type, what they do and their vibe. You know what I mean? No matter what, I feel like I'm always gonna, like if they release a song online, I'm gonna support that. I'm just be like, yo, this is dope.
If it's dope, it's dope.
Exactly. If it's dope, it's dope. Then I'm gonna, So that's just wild to me. That's just wild to me.
Which is why none of my, I don't want to say none of my team members. I tried to find the people here that, obviously you're here. Obviously Eli was here.
Hello.
Obviously Dom was here. But, in a city of 100,000, finding 3 people that actually were of genuine nature, that's, it's kind of a testament to how rare it is to actually find, because there's a lot of people to look around, but only so many, literally a handful, are going to be people worth your time. And, you just have to have that, I guess, the discipline to have that distinction. Figure out what you really want or need in your life or on your team.
And how small the music industry really is, when you get down to it, I mean, it's pretty small. Like we're pretty well connected with, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people.
It's surprising. You have a lot of people withholding information, we're only like 2 or 3 degrees of separation from certain people or certain artists, but it's just like, they want to keep that to themselves, or now some people are just, they know that person's character and they're like, they might be a little apprehensive about introducing them to new or like, I'm not going to say lesser artists, but like lesser known artists.
Exactly. So I'm feeling like for myself, like how you were saying, the 100,000 people, like you only find like a few good men or good people or men and women or whatever, that you can like really, really trust as a team member, someone to help build, both your visions or whatever. That when it comes to the music industry and the music world, like that number gets a lot smaller. That number gets a lot smaller.
And it's crazy because the music industry is bigger than 100,000, right?
Oh yeah, it's way bigger. Yeah,
but it does get really, really tiny, especially because you still have the whole old school versus new school mentality. You know,
Yeah.
there are less and less people. I mean, they're genuine people,
Right.
but one, that's a rarity in and of itself because of how the old school people had to thrive. You know, to be genuine and to still have a heart and have kindness and be an old school, you know, music exec. It almost is like it's an oxymoron.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
that doesn't exist.
That doesn't make sense.
You know, so it's a rarity to find genuine nature
Yeah.
already. But then you have you have this new school who's trying to come in, and then you have people knocking them down and beating them down so they don't come in. And it's just like, then you start jading people.
Right.
So the people that were genuine
Right.
become jaded. And it's just like, it's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
this continuing cycle of just negativity.
Like how do you really come in and change that whole mentality? I mean, that's tough. That's tough to do. But I think like picking the right people to back you, you know what I mean? Picking the people who are like, okay, so this is the vision. Like, this is what I'm going to do. We're part of the new school. This is how we want it to be, not how it is. And having a team like that really understands that on a ground level from the beginning, like having absolutely nothing. I think that's the best way. Absolutely. That's the best approach, really, to change
at least now.
At least right now, yeah.
And so you can have people like Daniel Caesar, you know, moving up and succeeding because, you know, he's got his own team.
He's got a great team.
And he's completely independent, like 100%. Like, I don't know how big his team is, but he's genuinely independent.
Yeah.
And the amount of success he's had is wild.
It's amazing.
I was able to say success that time.
It's like, success.
But, you know, like that's mind-boggling to me. You know, people like Jessie Reyes, another incredible artist out of Colombia. I think she's Colombian American or just Colombia. I'm not quite sure.
I don't know.
But she's an incredible singer, and she's got a great team behind her. Again, independent, and she's making moves successfully.
Right.
And it's a new paradigm. You know, obviously it takes genuine nature. It takes having that. It takes having people you trust around you, 100% to make that happen. And you know that it takes time. I have no idea how long it took them to build their teams, but you know, Daniel Caesar's been around for a while before his name got huge.
Yeah.
Jessie Reyes has been around for a while before she got huge. You know, it's a matter of living life and understanding and figuring out how to make those distinctions before you end up popping off because you have all the right pieces in place.
Yes.
Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah. What would you say then? Okay, so I guess we've kind of discussed a little bit about building what we should be looking for when building a team, like mainly trust, character, loyalty. Yeah. Loyalty. But I guess like when we move into the area of a collective, right? What's the biggest distinction, would you say? Because like, I feel like a collective and a team somewhat embody the same sort of like the mentality is similar, right?
Vision,
the same sort of vision. Yeah.
I would say, well, based on the collectives that I've been a part of, so you know, the vibe is varied greatly. You know, some people are more so using the collective as a means of their own kind of gain, which is disappointing. But, you know, some people actually use the collective as a means of, you know, like I said, a support system.
Right.
Which is still based around those basic tenets of just trust, genuine nature, loyalty, you know, everybody kind of helping each other out, supporting each other. So, you know, collectives are teams in their own right, but they're a different kind of team.
Yeah.
You know, a management team obviously has a different purpose than a collective.
Of course.
But they both are their own teams, and they both are important teams in their own right. But in my experience, you know, the collective mindset has been really beneficial to getting names out there or getting a movement to kind of take hold. You know, you look at people like, you know, Op Future when they were, that was one of the biggest. It is one of the they're not a collective now, but you know, when they actually banded together and in Tyler, like,
are they done as a collective? Like I feel like they're still
like unofficially, I think they're still like obviously they're all like kind of like homies, but like I think the actual collective aspect of like everybody being part of Op Future, I think that stopped a while back.
Because they're all just
they're all doing their own things. They all popped off.
Yeah.
And you know, they at least they branded it. You know, and they kind of all took off from that successful branding. You know, Op Future was comprised of like how many people, how many bands?
Dude, a
You had
lot.
Sid in the
The
internet.
internet.
You had
Tyler.
Haji, you had Tyler, you
Frank
had
Ocean.
Frank Ocean, you had Earl Sweatshirt, you
Earl, yeah.
had
Domo Genesis.
you have Left Brain,
Yeah.
you had so many people.
Yes.
And all of them helped each other out. You
Yeah.
know, all of them through that support. You know, they were all friends. They were all homies. You know, they all just, and they all had their own skills to bring to the table.
Right.
You know, like Sid is a mixing engineer, and it's crazy because, you know, so you had an in-house mixing engineer, you had an in-house band because Sid brought the internet. Right.
Yeah.
You have rappers, you have directors. Tyler being a director of his own content and director of Odd Future content.
Right.
You know, you have writers because they're all writing content or comedy skits. You know, that to have that entire collective of people and different skills and abilities is invaluable. And you know, so building a collective with that in mind is incredible. You know, if you can do that and successfully do that, you're obviously in the right direction.
Because that to me, that's a little bit similar to like a Brockhampton.
Yeah,
sort of movement, because they got a house, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and Brockhampton, funnily enough, is actually managed by the same manager who managed Odd Future. So,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, so they have the same manager, and they kind of took a similar route. You know, I guess because of the connection.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
But you know, obviously, and they also took huge inspiration from Odd Future.
Yeah,
just as a collective and with that mentality, because it just made sense.
Yes.
You know, if you have enough people who want to do a similar thing or all the same thing, you know, you might as well band together.
Yeah.
And you know, and it's kind of cool that you know, that you have that many people in the same area. That's also a rarity.
Yeah.
You know, so so how do you kind of combat against that? You know, and that's where more like the online collectives came into play, like SoundCloud. The SoundCloud era, or like online musicians, you know, online collectives started becoming a huge thing. Especially, you know, with, you know, FET and Selection. I think Selection was one of the pioneers of the
online collective
aspect.
Because all of the artists that are featured through Selection are all over the world. I mean, like
absolutely,
London. Yeah,
you have Civi, you have Esther, you have Sango, you have Chronica, you have Sam,
there's so many.
There's so many, and they're all spread out everywhere.
Yeah.
You have Evil Needle, who's I think he's in Belgium. Yeah, I
don't even know.
Yeah, they're like, you know, they're obviously kind of like started. You know, Joe started with the radio in LA, but you know, they kind of just branched out and became that. You know, so there was the radio aspect and there was the collective aspect, and that collective aspect kind of pioneered the whole online collective movement, which is super crazy. You know, and I'm appreciative that I can be a part of that. But you know, it's wild because they took one direction with it, but you know, some other collectives have taken different directions with it. So, you know, they all kind of embody or try to embody that support system and those basic tenets of trust, genuine nature, and just like loyalty. But some of them that I've noticed have gone different directions. You know, and some of them have actually stayed pretty low key too. Like I was telling you earlier, how like the Roots and music and everybody who grew up in Philadelphia actually were kind of like unofficially a collective, even though they never mentioned it, never talked about it. But you noticed they all kind of collabed.
That was the idea. Yeah,
you saw features. You know, Common was on so-and-so's album,
on Kanye's.
But yeah, like Questlove was talking about how you know, when they were all kind of coming up, when the Roots were kind of coming up, they would have basement sessions where like Jasmine Sullivan was like a baby.
That's amazing.
Or like a teenager.
Yeah,
music was still like delivering pizza or something like that. But then he was like releasing his project in the state. Common would come through. Kanye would come through. You know, you had all these people that were behind the scenes connected, and in supporting each other in that way.
Yeah.
But then, you know, they didn't mention it. You didn't even know they were a collective or a team. And I think that's kind of cool. You know, the fact
that they were just artists just doing their
they were just artists doing their thing, and kind of naturally built this accidental collective. That just worked out for them. You know, I think that's really important to have.
That's always intrigued me because like as you know, like I'm a huge fan of like the 60s era and all that stuff. And I've read a lot of books about that. And that was something that was happening then. And it's interesting to me because like when we have like huge bursts of like I don't want to say genres of music, but like eras of music that are like super important. Like, for example, like the Kanye Common, like roots type, you know what I mean? That all the artists are in a close proximity with each other. You know what I mean? Kind of like in the same sort of studio, like working on their like
like Chicago, like the whole Chicago.
Yeah, the whole Chicago scene. Yeah,
Smee. Yeah, well, like I'm
Smee,
trying to think.
No
Zero
Name,
Fatigue.
Zero Fatigue. Yeah,
You have Saba. You have Jean Doe. You have like everybody coming up at the same time. You have
exactly.
Funnily enough, Vic Mensa and they kind of have like like Chance and Vic had a kind of disagreement, but as a whole, they actually reconnected. And, that's a huge sense of like Chicago itself is a collective. If you think about it. And that's wild.
For the most part. Yeah.
That's crazy.
No, they're all coming up together and it's just wild. Yeah.
Yeah. They're a huge team. It's just, it's good to have that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, that's it for this episode. If you have any burning questions or topics you want us to talk about, hit us up on the site at thousandstory.co/contact or follow us on Twitter and Instagram at thousandstory_. That is an actual underscore, not the word underscore. And if you want to know about our lives outside of the podcast, you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram as well. My handle is Mr. Naji Boy. That's MrNajiBoy.
And I go by L Pontillo. That's LPONTILLO on Instagram, and at Luis Pontillo, LUISPONTILLO on Twitter. You can find that information on the website at thousandstory.co/podcast. Thanks for joining us, and join us next episode where we'll talk about the ghost in your kitchen your cat has failed to mention. Just kidding. We're actually going to talk about the death of the YouTuber.
Not the actual death of a YouTuber, but like the death of the YouTube star. What with
Wait, hold up. Hold on. I don't think I researched the right topic.